Look, don't you mock me for doing just a little bit of ghost painting, a little bit of shadow painting here at the beginning. It's a good way to get warmed up a little, to get a feel for the canvas, a feel for the brushes. These are new brushes that I bought. Like I always say, new art supplies. A great way to get a little bit inspired, a little bit excited about some art you're about to do. If you don't know, if you're not feeling the vibe, the urge to do something, I know maybe this might be not healthy for your wallet, but I think it is. It can sometimes be healthy for your art. Take a $10 bill if you can find one. I know sometimes mostly only pennies, nickels, and dimes fall between the couch cushions, but maybe if you're lucky, look in an old pair of pants, before you throw them in the washer, and maybe there'll be like one time in my life I found a 20. And I know it's your own money, but maybe that can be art money for a new pair of brushes or art supply. Anyways, I've realized that I've realized I use a lot of paint. I really gob it on there when I do this acrylic painting, and I've come to terms with that. The first few times I tried doing this acrylic painting, I tried, just buying those little bottles they have, rows and racks of, in all sorts of different areas of the store. Really, it's a little bit intimidating how many different areas of this they have it over in the. They might even have it over in the scrapbooking section, but they have little bottles over near the T-shirts and over near the little wood crafts and over near the models and near the paper. They have it spread out everywhere, I guess, just to cover their bases. But it's intimidating. But I actually grabbed these paints, This is the basic brand, which I've heard not the greatest things about. Maybe one day I'll upgrade my paints a little farther, but I upgraded to these paints even. But the thing I like about them is that I can just squeeze the tube there, and a lot of paint comes squirting right out onto my palette. For a palette here, I'm using just a piece of plexiglass with a piece of, what's it called, wax paper taped around it. So you can pretty much use anything. I like the wax paper because you can pretty much put it over anything and use anything as a palette. You could use an old DVD case. You could use your wallet. You could use an old laptop. You can use an old external hard drive. I'm just looking at things that are sitting around here, but you could put wax paper on top of it and use it as a palette. Palette. Anyways, for this one, for the base, I had a certain idea going into this, and I mentioned this on a Twitch stream when I was live streaming this painting, most of it. I had a certain idea, a plan, a certain way I wanted to execute this painting. It's just an idea to get me started, right? And it didn't end up being the way I actually ended up doing it, and that's fine. It's good. Sometimes that's all those ideas need to be, just something to get you started. And it's okay to let go of those ideas if you feel your little art project or your big art project is going in a different direction. Or maybe that's just the way I work. I feel like maybe other people are a little bit more goal-oriented, and when they set themselves goals, they really need to stick to it, and they don't feel that sense of accomplishment until they reach that specific goal. I feel happy when I've accomplished almost anything, I suppose. But I was using the red, green, and blue paints here with the white and the black. I put a lot of the black paint there on the palette, which, spoiler alert, I never actually I did touch it, but I didn't actually end up using any of the black paint on this painting. Maybe I should have. I'm still learning what I call color math. I'm still learning it. I'm still trying to mix this stuff together, and I was talking to some people in the live chat, and I was learning that maybe for some colors, maybe especially with like the quality of paint I'm using, it's better. Like I was trying to make a bright pink at one point, and I tried to take a little bit of white and a little bit of red, mix that together, and I kept on like combining like a little bit more red, a little bit more white, and it just was turning into like a light red. It started looking like silly putty, and it turns out like you can't make things like brighter to some extent. I don't know. I really feel lost, but it's a good lost feeling. It's more like feeling lost in the woods, and everywhere you go in the woods is a new cool place that you find yourself. Like there's cool little things you're finding, even if it's not what you meant to find. You feel what I'm saying? Anyway, so maybe in the future, if I want to do pink on a painting like this, I'll just buy a tube of the pink. Like, maybe that's why they have the pink tubes there. Maybe I'll grab one of those. As much as mixing these colors like this makes me feel deep down like a real artist. Painting in general makes me feel like a real artist, just like the paint squishing around on the canvas. This is a canvas board, by the way, squishing around there. It feels very artistic, even if you're not accomplishing something that quote unquote looks good or you think feels good or whatever, but it feels very artistic. I would recommend it to anyone. But I was getting a lot of different feedback on the whole color math thing. Like, should I keep using the red, green, blue, or should I switch to, there's two different camps. Maybe the cyan, magenta, CM, yellow. Wait, CMY? Okay. Yeah, well, there's like different stuff you can do. Or should I just buy a bunch of every single different color I might ever want to use? Which seems like it could get expensive. But painting, excuse me. But painting, I guess that's why they're called starving artists, because they make we like to make all these things out of expensive art supplies that may or may not ever amount to anything monetarily, but we do it for the love of the art. Am I right? But even when I was just trying to buy like a red, there were like two shades of red. There's like these cadmiums and all these weird confusing hues. And even how it looks on the bottle isn't how it looks when you squirt it out of the bottle, and it isn't how it looks when you start slathering around on the canvas, and it isn't how it looks when some light, like when like a yellowish light hits it, and it isn't how it looks when a bluish light hits it. Everything keeps changing in different circumstances and certain situations, so maybe it's not worth it to try that hard, and it is worth it to try it all. I think it can be easy to get like locked down and thinking about this stuff too hard. And I'm glad I didn't think about it too hard. I just grabbed those tubes of paint off the shelf and I walked out of the store, and I did drop one and it squirted paint off my leg at one point, all up my leg. And somehow none of the paint got on the floor and it only got on my leg. So I guess I got all of my money's worth of paint. I didn't leave any of it in the store. But anyways, thank you. I think this video is too long already. Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. Whew. I felt like I talked really fast that time. All right.